This segment brought to you by Mike Bilski and North American Banking Company. Visit nabankco.com/Tom today. Andy, just let me know when our next guest is ready to go.
He appears to be ready.
There he is.
Oh, there he is right there. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Stevens. Tony's Assistant Vice President of Communications at the American Foundation for the Blind, a Helen Keller expert, and a producer and featured voice in Possibilities, in an episode from last month. Your conversation about TV still pulling in tens of millions of dollars and the way older media formats keep hanging on felt like a natural fit for Tony's perspective on how accessibility needs to be built into the media people actually use. Tony, how you been?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Hopefully you all are doing well also.
Everybody's doing great. As a matter of fact, we're just having a good time on the show today. Well, first of all, we have 3 generations of the family in this area. The 2 littlest kids don't appear on the show, which I could understand. But yeah, Catherine and I are been married for 42 years, and then Andy, our son, Alex, our daughter. 3 generations. They both have children that come over. I absolutely love it. So, what's the latest with you, Tony?
No, yeah, and thanks so much for having me on. We, I work at the American Foundation for the Blind. We've been around for a little over 100 years at AFB, and probably our most famous employee was Helen Keller for over 40 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
At AFB. So we had a documentary come out on her 146th birthday at Carnegie Hall and go launch streaming around the globe a couple weeks ago, and it was a fantastic event, but we're really promoting it. It's the first full-length film with open audio description, kind of a creative way we approached making accessible media.
Sure.
And just having a chance to get out there and plug the work and the voices that are featured in it, sort of talking about Helen's impact.
I understand that. Now, Tony, how did you get involved in this operation?
Well, I mean, at the American Foundation for the Blind, we're reaching our 100th anniversary, and we wanted to try to focus in on Helen's legacy. Mm-hmm. And really focusing in on sort of how she's perceived today by people that are blind or low vision. And as documentaries go, we get in there, we get 90 hours of footage for 139-minute doc. You start getting a lot of other threads and stories about the experiences people who are blind, deafblind, have low vision, which is, a significant number of Americans, even with glasses, can't read the New York Times, from that all the way to just close your eyes blindness kind of thing, like myself. And, working on it as it was progressing, and I was brought in once, a lot of the photography was already being done and interviews already being done, to kind of sew things up at the end and really work to sort of help get this thing finalized and hit the festival circuit and then get it onto streaming and platforms. I'm also a voice in it. A couple of times I kind of thread the needle in just certain areas that Helen had. A lot of people probably read about Helen as this disability rights person, but know of her more about the miracle worker, Anne Sullivan, her teacher, and that film that was in the 1960s that, was an Academy Award-winning film. Sure. Kind of stops when she's really young, right? She learns to communicate thanks to Anne's sort of breakthrough with her at this moment at the well that's kind of, monumentalized in her sort of, legend, I guess, if you will. But, we really were wanting to try to focus in on her impact, not just to the blindness community across the United States and across the globe, but to the broader community. I mean, she was, under General MacArthur, a Goodwill Ambassador after World War II. She was a founding member of the ACLU back in the 19-teens. She was a woman suffragist, a disability rights advocate, not just for the deafblind community, but for all people with disabilities at a time when there weren't a lot of voices out there sort of advocating for inclusion in society for people that have, varying needs and abilities. So, my job mainly was coming on and helping us get it across the finish line and get it into, festivals around the world and stuff like that.
That's wonderful.
I have 2 questions. My first is an unrelated question. Why is our chat full of Jay talking about cheese?
I don't know.
There you go.
I can't read the chat. I'm intrigued all of a sudden.
Yeah, he was talking
It says almost any cheese is good. Blue cheese. They rebuilt the Hy-Vee where I lived, the cheese counter. Half a mile from my house. He's really thinking about cheese right
Our
now.
listeners do like food.
Somebody said you're ancient to somebody else on the chat, and then somebody said like a good cheese.
Oh, like aged like a fine cheese.
Now,
cheese.
Now we're on
Jay's
cheese.
talking about cheese. And I
Okay.
agree with you, Jay. I mean,
Yeah.
blue cheese.
Yeah.
No, I
Man, it
agree.
is good.
So you were born legally blind. So blind can mean many different things.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you?
Well, for most people, there's still some sort of residual sight, right? Excuse me. So, I never could read the board. I'd have to sit up right up front, and maybe get up and walk up to it to read it and stuff like that as a kid. And, I knew I'd never be driving a car or anything like that. So you learn how to just try to be as independent as you can.
Right.
But then when I was 15, I went totally blind. And, due to glaucoma and some other birth defect conditions. But, it covers a gamut. A lot of people lose that are born with some sort of congenital condition. Oftentimes will have some sight, and then it progresses later in life and
Yep.
gets worse and worse and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yep. What's interesting about that, I haven't thought about this in, I would guess it would be about 65 years or 67 years, something like that. When I was a little boy, 7 years old, I was out playing with my friend, and these new neighbors had moved in, and the husband brought his mother to live with them, and they had grandkids and all that. So I was talking to the grandkids outside, and I said, why do they have to, does your grandmother have some walking problems? Why do they have to lead her into the house the way they do? And I had never heard of, a blindness that would totally wipe out your vision completely. I was only 6 or 7, something like that.
It's relatively rare. too.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was talking to him all day about, what really struck me about this, and you would be a good example of how that goes because you've been in both, areas. I said, so she'll never see, like, this beautiful tree. She will never see that tree. She's never seen a tree. She doesn't see the blue sky. She doesn't see the water. That struck me really hard when I was a little boy, that how is it to go through life never being able to see anything? That's quite a burden, don't you think?
One of the things I think that we often ignore when someone does go blind is the mental health aspect. And
Yes.
it can be very jarring
Yes.
for someone to have a disability onset later in life, particularly.
Yeah.
When you're a child, it's easier, like learning language. You learn how to walk, right?
Right.
It's tough at first, and things seem impossible, and you can do it. But hands down, it's a challenge that we deal with for a lot of people. But that being said, it's not like a death sentence. Right?
No,
It
right.
is, it's something that, you'll say, like, can't see the blue sky. But I was at Toronto Island on vacation this past weekend up in Toronto. And the smell of the flowers was just fantastic.
Wonderful.
The sensory, and they always say, like, oh, blind people have these superhuman powers. And it's we all have them. We get distracted with our eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And oftentimes
Yeah.
tune out a lot of the other stuff that the other senses can be just as engaging and exciting to sort of employ.
Yeah, my father went blind in his 90s. He had macular degeneration and glaucoma. And he started what was really the toughest thing for him, because his eyesight had been crappy for a long time, but it was his brain started trying to fill in what
Yep.
his eyes couldn't see,
Right.
so he was actually hallucinating. A lot of times he thought he was on the front line in World War II.
Oh, that's a fun thing to hallucinate.
Yeah.
I mean, he seriously, we would be sitting there watching, what did he love? He liked to watch
Wheel.
Wheel.
It was Wheel. Yeah.
Wheel of Fortune, and he'd be getting all agitated. And I said, "What's going on, Dad?" And he'd say, "I just wish they'd shoot already. I can see those sons of bitches right there." And I was like, "Okay, you do
You
know
mean
you're."
Pat Sajak?
I'm like, "You do know you're in your apartment."
Yeah, I know.
And he says, "I know, but I can see them." Mm-hmm. And it was just, and there was nothing we could do. I mean, at that point, he was,
To be
Right.
clear, he
So he
couldn't actually see them. He just thought he
No,
could.
he was
Right.
hallucinating
That's
because
the
his
distinction,
his vision deteriorated so quickly because his eye doctor in Arizona gave him cortisone drops that to my understanding, you're only supposed to use those for a few days, and he was on them for years,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah, it's a
basically just
powerful
fried
steroid,
his retina like that.
Yeah, I
So-
remember one time he was laying in bed, and he wouldn't get out of bed, and I went in there and I was like, "So what's going on, Grandpa?" And he was like, "Can you turn off the TV on the ceiling?"
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no TV on the ceiling. And he goes,
Yep.
oh, there isn't. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, the brain tries to figure out what, I mean, he could see, shadows and things, but he couldn't see well. And his vision went fast. So it was, I'm sure it's very hard for your brain to keep up with trying to decipher the world around you when you just suddenly lose your vision in a matter of months.
Yeah.
What is it, like roughly a third of our nerves is attached to the optic nerve. I mean, it's an
Oh,
extremely high, complex, the eyes in a sense of how they're connected to the brain. It's a lot of wiring,
sure.
which is why the sort of fictitious, like it's so easy to do an eye transplant, which isn't, a reality in the sense because there's so much there. There's a lot of breakthroughs
Yep.
in ways to, implant chips and things like that. But yeah, it's a lot of neurons being fired.
So, Tony, you were born sighted. Your vision wasn't great, but it was there. And then it went away. Do you dream in pictures?
Yeah. I mean, it's in dreams and stuff like that. It's funny. They often do a thing, I don't partake into that much, but people will like self-describe themselves to me. And I try to tell them like, look, it's not a big deal. I don't really care. Like in my mind, I'm still 15, which is fantastic, right? So, in that sense. But yeah, it's hard for me to imagine myself much more gray and matured and lack of being chiseled as I was when I was 15.
That's something that you, like a lot of people probably don't think of, is like, you don't know what you look like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Do
like, I care? I don't know. I mean, I try to be self-conscious, and I'm not, showing up here in a robe or anything, just being a slob.
I was actually thinking about that the other week for no particular reason. I was thinking about how for the vast majority of human history, I bet 99% of people never knew what they looked like because only the rich had access to mirrors.
Yeah.
And like you can see yourself in water, but it's a very poor reflection. You're not going to get any details. So not knowing what you look like is the human norm for, our species.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Things change.
Selfies.
Yeah, that's true.
Tony, how old were you when you lost vision?
So I was 15 when it was from an acute glaucoma, but it was a retinal detachment right after birth when I was little. Kind of let me never see good, but like I could I could still do stuff. I could ride a bike and stuff like that. Just be slow and not go into busy streets and things.
Well, if it's described well, can you picture in your mind how it does look since you did
Oh yeah,
have sight?
yeah. I'm still a big daydreamer. You hang on to stuff. Some things get tough over time. Like trying to remember the face of a parent or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's things seem more like dreams, but yeah, you get used to it.
One of the great things with the world it is today and everybody at each other's throats, they'd probably be happy you don't see some of the things that are going on. I mean, whew. Do you, is there a situation where do you stay in touch? How often do you have to go see a doctor, as a matter of fact, or don't you have to do it any more than anybody else?
No, we still encourage, even for myself. I'm bad about it. I got to get back in. It takes forever to get into a specialist that knows when they look at me what the heck they're seeing. But even if folks don't see, we're always encouraging them because you never know what's going on with like tumors in the eyes, or you can detect a lot of things by looking in your eyes, like hypertension, diabetes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So even when folks lose their sight, we still try to say, look, it's important to get in and get an eye exam at least once a year if you can.
Do you, because you've lost some sight and, at this point, do you still picture in your mind how things might look now using the memories of when you could see things? Not, always clearly, but do you look back upon things and go, I wonder how that's all going?
Yeah, I mean, I assume we're not all dressed like Back to the Future 2.
Well, I am, but I'm
Andy
unusual.
is, but
Yeah, it's just his special thing.
The nice thing is that grunge comes back in style every now and then.
I know. I saw a couple the other
attire
day.
to wear. Yeah, so.
one of the
But yeah.
I find it very interesting that you are a sailor.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage
Yeah.
that?
Water is therapy. It really is.
Yeah.
No, there. Sailing is. Obviously, I'm not going to skipper a boat and go head. I live on Baltimore Harbor, just off the harbor. I lived on the harbor, literally in a boat for a year. But I'm not going to just turn into the wind and go, pardon the pun, blindly right into it. But it is very much a other senses type thing, right? So it's feeling the wind, feeling direction, a lot of listening. We're working on, I had run a sailing center here in Baltimore Harbor for a year, and then working with them some still now. We're trying to think of like ways that you can use like your smartphone technology where you can drop pins, like wayfinding on the water for buoys and stuff to help navigate using technology.
Right.
But yeah, but there's like sailing clubs that'll have buoys that make noises for regattas and stuff like that. There's different clubs around the country that do that kind of stuff. But for me, it's just getting out there, and it's, you know, when you don't have a road, when you just have open water like Chesapeake Bay, it's very liberating just to, when you feel like you're constrained on land with a cane or my guide dog, and you're always, you know, navigating around stuff and obstacles always in the way. When it's just, you know, someone sitting next to you going, yep, it's wide open. Just let the sails out and, you know, go, you know, head into the wind or off, not technically into the wind, but off to the wind a little, and you just launch off. It's pretty empowering.
You know, one thing that I was thinking, if I was going to lose my vision, I would hope as I went further into it and did lose my vision, I would remember the good things and the beautiful women, and, you know, you carry those dreams with you, right? You carry those visions with you, I would imagine, since you had, how many years did you have sight?
I mean, it was like 15. You know?
15, yeah,
So
okay.
it was, yeah. It was, you know, it is still, I don't know if, you know, a lot of us, you know, middle-aged dads get very retro, but it is nice to still know what the Fleetwood Mac Rumors album looks like.
That's very
There you
true.
go.
So, you know, there are certain things that are iconic that stand out in your head, or the Abbey Road Beatles, you know.
Yep.
Certain things like that are icons that you remember, and plays perception. And, you know, it's the kind of thing where you just don't really think about it that much. I mean, you know, and Helen probably would have said this as well, as someone that was deafblind, like, you don't think about it unless people really bring it up to your attention. You just,
Sure.
as humans do,
Yeah.
you adapt and you forge forward with it.
Just
So.
live your
Helen
life.
wasn't born blind either, was she?
She was not, but it happened really young, like
Yeah.
just after infancy.
Oh, so she doesn't
you know,
remember a time.
No,
I
there
knew
was
it happened young,
no
but
sense memory. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
because she had
it's
like some
like
sort of
that, weird stuff.
infection, right, or meningitis or something like that.
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yep.
I'm a second grade teaching aide, and every year the second graders have to read a biography about
Keller.
somebody, and Helen Keller is always one of the kids' choices, and it takes them a while to actually understand
Yeah.
how like different Helen Keller's life was from theirs. They're like, wait, she couldn't do anything? And it's like, no, she did tons of stuff. She did stuff people with sight and everything
still get-
never do.
Right.
We get people today on like Reddit and stuff saying that there's even today like conspiracy type attitudes that are like, oh, this was impossible. There's no way she could have done this.
Oh, God.
And our response is like, you know, you'd be surprised what we all can do, right? Humans adapt when we're faced with a challenge, and we learn to navigate through it. And she just happened to be the first at a time when, you know, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. There wasn't a lot of doors that had opened yet. And she was the one that really opened them up for a lot of people after her.
When also being a woman in that
Era. Yeah.
era
Oh,
too.
definitely.
Like, that,
And I mean, think like, you know, she was born on a farm in northern Alabama, horse and carriage days, post sort of Civil War reconstruction,
Wow.
you know, all that movement. And then she died a year before. I was thinking this with the Artemis too, like a year before the moon landing, like when we were just starting to orbit around the moon. Like the span that her life witnessed, and through the sense of touch, you know, and kinesthetics and everything, is pretty incredible to think the way she perceived the world, but how much the world changed over those 87 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about that. I just like that, you know, you can pay attention to things that people take for granted. Since you've lost sight, you probably don't take very much for granted, I wouldn't think.
Like I say about like flowers or the scents, you know, juniper and stuff like that. You stop and you realize it more, and you embrace it more, and you know. So yeah, it makes you appreciate things more. That and like one of the lines in the film is, you know, people with disabilities, and particularly in our community, like we're playing the game of life on hard, you know, like amped up the challenge. So there's a little sense of pride, I think, in that independence that we get.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you have, like I said, I was in the record business for a number of years at Capitol Records, and I'd go on tour with a lot of these people. A lot of fully blind artists, like Stevie Wonder, people like that. it's amazing how they have, and I'll use the word focus, and I mean attention, but in the brain more than anything there, how they got so good at what they did, even though they had lost their vision. I was always really impressed by that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's that question of, is the genius already there?
Right.
Yeah.
And the need unlocks it, or the same like with Helen, like, would she have been the same today with an iPhone and a braille display or things like that? Was that nature versus nurture? I guess sometimes we say,
Right.
Is he naturally a genius, which there are others as well. Paul McCartney can see just well, but is quite the genius as well when it comes to music. But I mean, from what I've heard about Stevie, like, pointing out that third note in the chord is flat or something,
Right.
right. That kind of level
Yep.
of, but yeah.
Well, he wrote a song. I believe it was Stevie Wonder wrote the song, "Isn't She Lovely?"
Yeah.
I love the fact that he called the song. It's a great song anyway, there's no question. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious?
The best thing about that song, though, is the start of it, where you hear the kid, just that,
That's
the
right.
joy in the sound. That the audience doesn't see that, but you get the loveliness just in the sound that starts that song
no
off.
question.
Sure.
Sort of the Foley work in the background, yeah.
That's really
Well, I Googled Helen Keller because I was like, when did she become blind? And one of the first things that come up is a picture of you.
Really?
Oh, there you go. Hard
not-
nuts.
I scrolled down and I was like,
That's not Helen Keller.
I'm humbled to be under my umbrella of the Helen Keller archive, so maybe that's how it popped up.
That's
I
funny.
know. I was like, wait, there he is.
There's Tony.
No.
That's funny.
I think that's fabulous.
So, how did this film come about? Did you?
A lot of great crowdsourced donors.
Okay.
A lot of sort of wanting Helen's legacy to live on, because she died in 1968.
God.
And she's interred at the National Cathedral. She is, we were all talking about independence this summer. She's one of the great icons for independence, I think, in American history.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, especially for people with disabilities. But we wanted it really to, we wanted a chance to try to elevate that. So, we're very fortunate with some donors that really helped step up the plate, like most documentaries are made nowadays. And then, and it took about 5 years to get to where we are today. But these things are never, quick kind of thing. So.
Well, somebody's asking, who is Stevie Wonder? And the response is, if you've heard Superstition, for one example, that's him.
Oh, him on drums. Somebody said he's amazing on
He's
drums.
an amazing drummer.
He
yeah.
drums on that song, yeah.
Yeah.
He does, yes.
Yeah.
Another thing that came up when I just Googled I just literally Googled Helen Keller. And one thing is, how did Helen Keller learn if she was deaf and blind?
What? What? She learned?
Yeah, maybe not being able to see or hear? I don't know. What?
Likely.
What a weird question.
I think people just, we think we can't do it ourselves, right? If I were to go deafblind tomorrow, I hear this a lot from people, I can't. And we get it. People, there'll be people that'll be stuck on their couch for a year after losing their sight.
Sure.
Because they're
Yeah.
just afraid. And, we did a study like 20 years ago at AFB where people feared blindness worse than like cancer. So it's, I can get where people are with that, but come on, folks, it's 2026. So,
Right.
Yeah, there's never been a better time to be disabled, that's for sure.
It's true. How do most blind people navigate the world now? Like seeing eye dogs, you see around,
rare.
but the cane seems more like
I
what?
I think the cane is still the dominant thing.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
get into this on the film. We sort of talk about the difference between the dogs and canes for people and their mobility. But, there's orientation and mobility, O&M instructors are called. And, people are always really advised to get that training because you got to listen. You just don't take a cane and jump out into the world. It's a lot of nerve to cross the West Side Expressway on New York City.
Yeah.
The first time
Yeah.
using your cane, stepping out in the, so, but yeah, there's training and things like that. The guide dogs I'm on my fourth dog now, a German Shepherd.
Oh,
And those are completely empowering. But there's even talk now about will the dogs be replaced with robots? Elon Musk is coming out with his robots that I know someone that's blind that's buying one later this year and looking to try to innovate it in ways that it could be a guide for people that are blind. And, there's sort of robotic guide dogs. A lot of the stuff with smartphones now is incredible with like, what you use for like finding directions to get to the, if you're traveling out of town or something. There's all these audio tips and cues and things that Apple and Android have done that we've been able to work with and other disability rights groups to really make those apps accessible. So that, I can have an earpiece in my ear and have AI telling me where to go and telling me what's in front, and I can get to the restaurant and read the menu to me and all this stuff. So it's incredible now with what technology is doing to help us get around.
And I'm guessing people are helpful as well.
I'm hoping.
Just plain old people.
They are. You
Yeah.
still get the person that grabbed your elbow and you didn't want to cross the street, but they thought you did.
They don't
That
ask.
happens every
Come
now and
this
then.
way.
They don't ask
That's
first.
a little
They
uncomfortable.
mean well.
Yeah.
They
well.
mean well, it's true.
Yeah, but
Tony, I have to take a quick break. Can you stay for one more segment?
love to. Yeah.
We'd love to have you. Heart of the North Tours has another amazing one you don't want to miss. The Canadian Rockies Tour, September 16th through the 24th, with sweeping vistas, serene valleys, and postcard-perfect scenery. Travel in comfort and discover the beauty of places like Banff, Lake Louise, Jasper, and more. For more information, go to heartofthenorthtours.com or call 833-424-2700 to speak to Mike, who is a pro at arranging these amazing tours. It is time for Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is the place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care focused facility that has a full nursing team, always staffed within the building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire Medinas now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally, and they are a family-owned local company conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They're the best staffed memory care facility in the state. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of a memory care facility, please get in touch with my friends at Wellshire. Set up a tour or learn more at wellshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com.
So you mentioned AI and that sort of thing, like, the technology increasing. And one thing that people talked about a lot, mostly because they didn't understand what it was that Neuralink thing that they would put in the chips of people. Or they put a chip in the brains of people who couldn't move their arms and that sort of thing. So Neuralink isn't going to grant you any new senses like people think. It doesn't put information into your brain. It takes information out of your brain, but it stands to reason that eventually it will become an input-output kind of situation. You'll be able to put data on the chip by thinking, and conversely, the chip will be able to put data into your brain, which could possibly restore senses of some sort. What are the thoughts of people in your community about, like, if someone said to you, I got a chip that's going to restore your sight, you just got to wear a pair of robo goggles or whatever. How many people do you think would jump at that chance, and how many people would distrust it?
Like Geordi from Star Trek.
Exactly, yeah. Just the visor, yep.
No, I mean, it is crazy at how rapidly this stuff, particularly in like nano medical sciences and stuff like that.
I know.
I get that question a lot because, like, right now, my 16-year-old son just got his driver's license a month ago. And I'm at that point of, like, thinking, like, if you got your sight back, would you want to drive a car? And I don't think I would.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. And I think I'm pretty happy where I am, and a lot of us are. That being said, it's still any condition, right? There are, it's a whole spectrum of folks as to where they are living with their varying ability. And I think in that sense, that definitely, if it can be empowering for people, I mean, the challenge is people live longer. Just eye loss, vision loss is going to increase just by the numbers, right?
Sure.
Folks over the age of 80, 50% chance that you're going to have significant vision loss along the way, right? Like age-related macular degeneration, like what you were talking about earlier, but other conditions as well, and glaucoma and stuff like that. So, I think in a sense, it's not for me to say what others can impart with that technology, but I'm pretty happy where I am. It would be weird to just step out again, and they've done some breakthroughs with, like, different parts of the eyes and cataract and things like that to remove, where people do get their sight back, and it's a challenge even for them to kind of step back into the world. And I don't think I would take it myself, but I'm sure for some people like I said, the mental health is still a big thing, and that isolation is huge. I think for some people, it could probably be empowering. It's going to be interesting. I didn't think autonomous vehicles when I started working
Yeah.
on Capitol Hill 10 years ago for driverless cars. We thought it'd be like 2040. And, I took my first Waymo a year or two ago, and it was incredible in Phoenix and in Los Angeles. But it's, this technology can be really empowering for some people, and for others, it's just not their speed. So.
We tried taking a Waymo, and it was not a
did.
success
Not good?
in Las Vegas.
Did
Well,
you?
it was in it was in test mode still, and you had to go to a
right, yeah.
spot to get picked up and go to
Yeah.
it was very.
But it showed up early 2 miles away. It just wasn't. We never
Yeah.
got to do it. 'Cause
Oh,
it just
yeah.
See,
wasn't.
for me, I'm always denied ride shares with my guide dog, which is
Really?
like so frustrating.
I
Oh,
thought
all the
the
time.
ADA hasn't
is huge.
fixed that for you.
They've tried, but it's the whole they're 1099 contractors, so the
Yeah.
rideshare companies are like, we can't do anything, and then
Yep.
the drivers just cancel, and it's always
Oh,
cars
wow.
mysteriously disappear when they show up all of a sudden, or I've gotten in yelling matches with cab drivers even. But it's
You're kidding. That's
so
shocking to me.
the first time I took a Waymo was with my guide dog, and we were just happy as a feather riding in that car with nobody yelling at
bet.
us.
There you go.
That's wonderful.
Your film premiered June 27th, Carnegie Hall. That had to be quite an honor, premiering at Carnegie Hall, big
It was
shot.
cool. I mean, it was neat because Helen had a close relationship with the Carnegies.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
was real special. She spoke there in 2016, had a real moving speech before World War I, and got to feel the vibrations off the piano of Rachmaninoff when he played for her once, and
God.
it's so she has some history at Carnegie, so it was really nice for us to do our New York and then our streaming premiere at Carnegie Hall. They were fantastic there.
Well, I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never been to Carnegie Hall, you got to go. It's one of the greatest places on earth. It's just beautiful.
So much history.
Yeah.
A lot of history
I-
there.
It was one of those few moments in my life where I was like, is this for real? Am I standing on stage here introducing a film I
Yeah.
produced and running a panel? It was like,
Yep.
and it's like, the steps from where Bernstein was and others, and Helen 110 years ago. So it was cool.
No question. First feature-length film by blind and low-vision filmmakers to fully integrate open audio description into the storytelling. Born legally blind, Tony brings 3 decades of disability rights and storytelling work, plus now listen to this part, plus a sharp human perspective on access, culture, sailing, and piano. Big shot. You're a big shot.
No. I'm like Ringo. I'm just happy to be here. They say.
That's a great old line, Ringo. I'm just happy
Yeah.
to be here. Yeah, he was something else. Tony, I tell you what, we got to have you on more often talking about things. It's always nice to meet people who have, what some people would look at as a disability or whatever the situation is. But you've taken it on, you've handled it, you've done a wonderful job, and now you've devoted your life to helping other people. That's quite honorable, I would say.
It is an honor, and it's you all are fighting the good fight as well on the interwebs and waves and all that stuff. So, love the show and keep up what you guys are doing as well.
Well, Tony, you got to come back. We'd love to talk to you soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Take care, y'all.
Thank
too.
you.
Tony Stevens, ladies and gentlemen, Assistant Vice President of Communications at American Foundation for the Blind. I love those interviews.
Where can we catch the show?
Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Yep, it's
Oh,
on Apple
okay.
TV, yep.
Nice. Okay.
But I mean, looking back at that thing, when I did find out my neighbor's grandmother was blind, I thought to myself, she's never seen anything in the world.
As a kid, you just can't even imagine it.
I would rather be born blind. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
No question.
Also, it's got to just be, I don't know. I mean, obviously for him, it's like, this is just the way it is and whatever. But
Well-
it's like, he doesn't know what his son looks like.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
true.
that's right.
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, we're all so judgy on what things look like. It's like, who cares
I know, but I
what
mean,
they
if
look
it's like if he had a lineup of 16-year-olds, he wouldn't be able to pick out his son if he
Yeah.
could see.
He could
you
pick
know,
out his
like,
voice, I'm sure.
I know, but if it was just like, here's a picture of a kid, he'd have no idea that it was his son.
Right.
Like, if he gained his sight magically overnight. You know,
Yeah.
like, that's just a weird thing to think about.
Well, it's interesting he was talking about that nanotechnology because, I've been doing all this research on Alzheimer's, and there's a billionaire Indian doctor who has already performed a bunch of surgeries on people in China and in India, and they're bringing it to Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
These nano
Oh, yeah, you were
scissors
telling me
are the
about
size of an eyelash.
Really?
Yep. these little things can get into the brain, into arteries, and repair and fix things that a human being couldn't possibly ever do. It is, I mean, it's all very exciting stuff if it'll work. And
Well, that's the deal.
and what we think of as restored vision, I don't know if it's going to look exactly like what we see.
Well, it depends on why you don't have vision. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes just the eye doesn't form correctly. The optic nerve is still there. So
Right.
theoretically, you could just plug an eye into the optic nerve and there you go. But sometimes the optic nerve gets destroyed. Sometimes part of the brain that deals with the sight gets destroyed. And first we'll see eye transplants. And then eventually we'll see things like optic nerve surgery
Well,
and brain surgery to repair the...
There's a surgeon, and I cannot find the article now, but there's a surgeon in Minneapolis that is saying that if, you know how when they say when you're at like 30, you start having trouble with fine print and all that stuff?
Yeah,
I
lens
didn't have that
accommodation.
trouble till I was like 45. I didn't need reading glasses till I was much older than generally thought, but almost everybody gets that, right?
Yes, literally. I don't think literally everybody. I think it's like 90-something%
Yeah,
though.
most-
Functionally everybody.
Yeah, most people do. But apparently, if you have this innovative surgery that they're talking about before your nearsightedness gets too bad, you will never get cataracts, and it can fix a whole bunch of things in your eye.
Well, they're
It changes
probably
the
talking-
structure in the eye.
They're probably talking about lens transplants or artificial lenses, which have actually existed for quite some time.
Well, yeah, that's what cataract surgery is, right? Don't you get a new lens?
I think they give, they just put in an artificial lens, right? Or
Yeah.
or a transplant. I don't know if it's a xenotransplant or what, but
Because you've had cataract surgery twice.
I should probably have it again, too.
yeah,
I don't
because
know if you can. I'm not sure if you can have it over and over.
Yeah, I don't
again.
know.
I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if they grow back. I don't really know
yes,
that
no,
much
they
about
put an artificial lens in when you do cataract surgery.
it. Yeah.
So there you go.
There you have
And
it.
does everybody get cataracts too?
I don't think. Well, let's see.
Seems like most dogs do. I had
Yeah.
a horse that went
Yeah.
blind.
Dogs seem to get cataracts a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Let's see. 92% of people 80 and older have cataracts. So
Really?
yeah, it's another one of those things that functionally everyone will get them eventually
At how old?
at 80.
80,
And 80
okay.
and older. So
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah, well.
That was a great show today. A really, really good guess.
Yeah.
Guests were absolutely terrific.
I didn't know anything about the history of ventriloquism.
Yeah.
I
I
think-
had no idea that
I think
the
I have-
Oracle of Delphi
Yeah.
was a
I knew about the
ventriloquist.
Oracle of Delphi.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did not. Of course you did, because your house.
I'm
I think I have a little bit of what you call it, popophobia.
puppet phobia. I
Puppet
think.
phobia.
I think
Oh,
it's
do
just
you
puppet
really?
phobia.
I think I have a little bit of it. Like they just
They're
kind of
weird.
They creep me out a little bit. I'm just like I don't like
didn't
when she
even
was
move it.
talking. I just was like I don't like this. Like I just was like not for me.
They're a little uncanny.
Not
but
for me. I don't know.
Amazing thing
And like
about
the
it is-
idea of having like 15 puppets around your head, I'm like
Well,
no.
that's probably because I think a lot of horror shows.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
horror
Probably- and yeah,
movies
like,
always,
yes.
there was,
Yep.
Chucky
Well, it's like-
was a doll.
What's
and
that
all
one
stuff.
in Key West?
Oh yeah,
Got
the
a
house.
that
Oh,
like
yeah,
was
yeah,
You're supposed to say
trying to
thank you,
kill
Mr. President, or
everybody.
whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't
You know what I'm talking about.
I've just heard so many. Yeah, probably has something to do with that. And also, like, I also have that weird thing where maybe I watched The Brave Little Toaster too much as a child, and I like can humanize things
You're an animist.
easily, and so the idea of I don't know. It's not like terrible. I'm not like a puppet, but a little bit just like
Okay.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, that's right.
Oh, thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah,
Yes.
Cassie's
Yeah,
talked about
Robert.
Robert a billion times.
Robert the
We
puppet.
went and saw
puppet,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did, didn't you?
You did.
Saw
I
that.
did not go.
Oh, that's
did?
Because I had the
right, yeah.
kids with me, or
Oh.
Fawn as a baby or something, and I was like, I don't need to take her to see a haunted puppet as
Yeah.
an infant.
There
Actually,
you go.
Not really.
I would have gone, but
All right, I'll close with this one. I didn't want to mention it to him because it was, he was a great guest, by the way. Our guest said
He was a great
really,
guest,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, he reached out to us. His
Yeah.
public relations person
Yeah.
emailed us.
yeah, he was great.
But when I was outside and this, neighborhood friend of mine, his grandmother, and I found out she was blind and all the rest of it, I will never forget, because I used to sleep on the 3rd floor of this house we lived in. And I was lying in bed just thinking about that whole thing, and I looked out the window, and the moon was up in the sky. And I thought to myself, she's never seen that.
So you were feeling sorry for things that you think she's lost, but
Yeah.
she's never
Yeah.
seen it.
No,
So
she's
she
never
can't
lost
miss
anything.
anything.
But I was
Yeah.
only 7, so I couldn't rationalize.
Well, that's like I
anything.
said, like
That means you're
the
empathetic.
hell, like the second graders writing a book about Helen Keller. It's like they don't have any idea.
No.
They're like,
Yeah,
I'm like, she couldn't see or hear
right.
at all. They're like, what?
Well, just trying to navigate the world has got to be.
Yeah, especially
lot.
back then. I mean,
Yes.
Well, I
I always
still
thought-
remember trying to find the legs of that one lady.
Oh, my friend Kathy
Yeah.
Tallman. Yeah, she was in a boating accident. Probably people from Minneapolis remember this story. She was boating on the St. Croix River, and a drunk boater ran her over,
Cool.
Yeah.
and she lost both of her legs. And Andy, she moved to Florida because it was just too hard for her to be in Minnesota in a wheelchair.
Yeah, nice and icy.
We met up with them, and Andy kept looking under her
I remember
wheelchair.
that, yeah.
Like,
Where are
What
they?
are you doing? And she was giggling. She's like, kids do this.
You
all
just
the
dropped your
time.
mic.
They think I'm sitting on my
we can't
legs.
hear you when you're
Yeah,
swinging.
they think I'm sitting on my legs.
Right.
I actually just had a conversation last night with Ethan. It's like one of the last things I said to him last night. Because he wears glasses at school and when he watches TV. Because he's got like a little bit of astigmatism. His vision's a little bad. It's not awful. He doesn't need them, but it helps prevent headaches and that sort of thing for him. And he was talking about like, when he watches TV and then he gets done, so he takes his glasses off. And he said something about like, Dad, you can take your glasses off because you're not watching TV. And I was like,
Right.
no, my vision is a lot worse than yours is. I need to wear those all day. And I told them about like this one time I went to Target Optical to get my glasses fixed. And they were like, it's going to be a little, they thought it was going to be a 10-minute thing. And it's going to be an hour instead. And they're like, you can go shopping, while you wait. And I was like, you know what? Sure. I'll go buy some stuff. It's Target. I know this place.
Yeah, you can always find something.
So I was without my glasses, going around shopping at Target, and I go down the aisle. Like, I've been down this aisle a million times, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff is.
Oh.
I had no idea what I was looking at. I had to take my phone out and use it as like a periscope kind of situation
Oh my God.
in order to
Jeez.
navigate, like to see like what are these multicolored boxes that I can't even identify anymore. And he
Yeah.
was like, he hadn't ever really thought about the fact that, my vision could have been that bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was very
Have
unusual.
you ever thought of getting LASIX?
I've thought about it, but I don't know. I'm at that age where you do start getting the whole like lens crystallization thing, and you lose your accommodation, and you need the reading glasses. And I talked to my optometrist about it, and I was like, "What do you think? Should I get LASIK?" And he said, "One nice thing about your eyes, because they're so tuned toward you, that you will never need reading glasses. You just take your glasses off. There's your reading glasses."
Oh.
And it's true. Like, if I take my glasses off, like, sometimes, like, when it's dark, especially if I'm reading like this, I do feel that, like, it's a little hard to read. My eyes start getting a little fuzzy. But if I do this, I can read things all the way up close like this. I can
Oh.
see every individual pixel on my phone like this. And I will always be like that because that's how my eyes are built.
Look at you.
Oh, weird.
So if I got LASIK, I couldn't do that anymore, and I'd need reading glasses. So it's like, what do I choose? Reading glasses all day or seeing glasses all day? It's
yeah.
one of those things.
I think when they do the cataract surgery, some people opt to do one close and one far
Yeah,
away,
that
like
sounds
lens.
horrible. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I guess your brain adapts.
And then you, switch.
I don't know.
That's what they say, but I don't know. It's just it's like reading glasses, having that little bubble down there all the time. I think it would drive me insane. Or not reading glasses, you know what I mean? Bifocals. That's what I meant.
Bifocals.
Yeah.
All right, I have to go.
All right.
All
Yeah, we
right.
should wrap
Well,
it up
I can
otherwise.
make one quick announcement. Alex, you don't have to be here for it because it doesn't really
All right.
impact you so much.
Okie
So we'll see
dokie.
you on Friday.
Sounds good.
What was that?
Hi,
The
Todd.
toilet.
Oh, it was one of
Kids in the house using the toilet right by the mics.
Yep. I had a listener on Facebook ask me, so this listener drives 2.5 hours a day and likes to listen to our show.
Nice.
But because we put the shows out in 40-minute episodes, every 40 minutes they have to look down at their phone and change the episode,
Right.
which is not ideal when you're on the road for 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So they're like, is there anything you can do about that? And I looked it up, and strangely enough, things like Spotify or that sort of thing don't really have the ability to do anything about
They
that.
don't have a rollover?
Apparently not. No, you
Oh.
can't just play the next episode.
Weird.
So what I did 2 or 3 days ago was I went and I upgraded our app, so it now does that.
Oh, good.
So if you
Good.
like the idea of having the episodes automatically play the next one, you can download our app. It's called Complete Disaster. When you go into an episode, there's a new little checkbox that says autoplay next episode. So if it's checked and you hit the end of the episode, it'll just keep on playing the next one. And by next, I mean like if you listen to part 1, it'll go up the chain to part 2 and then up the chain to part 3.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. If you like the autoplay idea, download the app. That's the only place you are going to get it. Or YouTube, but I don't know if I'd use YouTube in the car because of the bandwidth situation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Not unless you have unlimited data.
Right.
Well, there you have it. We had I thought it was a great show again today. And by the way, thank you. Our listenership keeps getting bigger and bigger. And you know, I will tell you one thing. I do understand that if we sat here and just ripped the hell out of the left or ripped the hell out of the right or
Yep.
read it, you know, we could build a very big audience out of the box. But we don't want to do that. We want to build it to people that
Some
are, you
days
know.
I do.
What's that?
I said some days I do.
Some days I do. Yeah.
I don't know how it doesn't get exhausting saying the same thing over
I
and
know.
over.
It's just how
But I
much
guess,
you hate somebody.
I guess if
Like,
you're getting
whatever.
1 million views a day, then the untold riches that you're generating make it worth it. I don't know.
I guess.
Well, when I was younger, I suppose my show was kind of like that, but that was several years ago.
But you didn't just sit there and talk
No.
about how the president sucked over and over
No.
and over and over
It's
every day.
every day. I've been watching a lot of the podcasts. I'm sorry, I just, and I know Joe Rogan's got the biggest podcast by far in the world and all the rest of it, but I could not listen to that every day.
Well, he's not so political, I don't think.
Well, he's not political, but it's I don't know. Well, I met Joe a couple of times and I didn't care for him. I don't know, he's just not my kind of guy. I guess
Yeah,
is
I
the
don't know.
best way to put
I've
it.
never really listened to his show. I've seen clips of it, and it seemed fine, but it's not something I really care about enough to
Well,
seek
Yeah,
out.
he's
The,
fine.
the thing that he does that gets him, a huge audience is he actually talks about stuff like when COVID was going on. It's like, is this real?
Yeah, that's
Are
a good
conspiracy
yes,
theories
that's
something
good.
that's going
Yeah.
on? Is Fauci really, in bed with a Wuhan lab? Oh yeah, I guess he is. Which everybody
Yeah.
else said he absolutely wasn't. And
Yeah.
so I mean, he actually talks about things that have supposedly been proven, or disproven that aren't even true. So I think people really enjoy the fact that he's
Yeah.
willing to talk to people about things that are supposedly settled.
Yeah, and
you know?
again, because of a personal situation, I'm not his kind of guy, and he's not my kind of guy. So that entered into it when I did interview him a couple of times. So I don't dislike him or anything. It's just, I don't know. It's not my kind of show. It's not that big a deal. But yeah, we're building our audience because of you, and we want to thank you very much for that. But it's basically always going to kind of be about how can we make the world better, right?
Yes.
For blind
like-
people and ventriloquists alike.
And ventriloquist
Absolutely.
alike. She was terrific.
Did
I
run the
thought.
gamut.
I thought she was
we ran
wonderful.
the gamut today. We talked
I love
entertainment
that.
news, ventriloquism, what it's like to be blind. We talked about
Yeah.
the World Cup.
Yep.
Don't use your dishwasher in the middle of the day.
Yep. All right, well, thank you very much, and we'll keep moving forward. And thank you. Like I said, the audience is building every day, so we're getting there.
Beep,
Thank you. Yeah.
There's a fog upon LA. I'm excited for the older episodes in the archive if those ever go back up. Yes, I've gotten a couple people talking to me about how the archives on the site aren't working and they're not on Spotify anymore and that sort of thing. They are still there. They are still uploaded as episodes on the new host. I'm looking for a way to get those back up on the site. I don't think it'll be too difficult. I just have to make them into an RSS feed again. So
Yeah.
hopefully maybe Saturday or Sunday I'll have the time to sit down and just do that again.
Okay.
But yeah, the anything older than 50 episodes right now you can't access at the moment, which that does make up 99.9% of what people listen to is the most recent 50. But there's still plenty of people who like to listen to the old stuff. So YouTube though, a lot of them are available, going back probably 3 years at this point.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I will be working on that in the coming days.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and we will talk to you on Friday.
Bye.
Bye.